A very good morning, children. Well, in today's class of economic application, we shall continue the lesson which we had started in the last class. Well, before we go on to further discuss about what we are going to do today, a bit of a recap on what we did in the last class. Well, in the last class, we talked about production, especially the meaning of production, and we also discussed about the creation of utility and discussed in detail the four types of utility, that is form utility, time utility, place utility, and service utility. Okay, well, today's topic is, we'll talk first the characteristics of factors of production, then we'll switch on to the first factor of production, that is land and its characteristics. All right, so let's get started then. Well, first, the characteristics of factors of production. All right, first factor of, the first characteristics of the factors of production is the factor of production as jointly used in the production of a commodity. Now, what does this mean? It means that no factors of production, no single factors of production can produce anything. All right, so we have to combine all these four factors of production, that is land, labor, capital, and organization. All these four factors of production has to be combined together to produce anything. Okay, like for example, land and capital can produce nothing unless they are assisted by a labor, or unless they are used by a labor. Okay, so that's the first characteristics. Now, the second characteristics of the factors of production is physical existence. All right, see, all four factors of production, whether it is land or labor or capital organization, they have physical existence. Okay, that means they are tangible in the sense, they are tangible resources. That means they can be seen, they can be touched, or they can also be handled. It can tangible items, resources means something that can be touched, seen, or handled. Okay, so factors of productions, they have what? Physical existence, right? Well, the third factors of production is use of factor services. Yes, one of the very important characteristics of factors of production is that it is the service of the factor. It is the service of the factors of production and not the factors itself that contributes in the production. See, the services of the services of the various factors of production are responsible for the contribution in the production, and not the factor itself. Okay, like for example, the labor helps in the production. The labor helps in the production by making use of his skill and knowledge. Okay, so his services which helps in the production of a commodity or a goods, but not the factor itself. Okay, it means that. Right, the next characteristics of the factor of production is demand for the factor of production is derived. Now, what does this point means? Demand for the factor of production is derived. Okay, see, factors of productions, as I said, they are not demanded for their own sake or for the direct satisfaction. Any factor of production, whether it's land, labor, capital, organization, these factors of productions are not demanded, for their sake or for the direct satisfaction. Now, see, they are demanded by the producer. All these factors of production are demanded by the producer to produce commodities which directly satisfies our want, or which directly satisfies our human wants. Okay, like for example, a demand for a cloth. The demand we like any garment that we buy, if we have a various kind of demand, a demand for a cloth, for example, that is, the demand for a cloth is a direct demand. Okay, and now the demand, but the amount of labor that is demanded to produce this cloth, this cloth is produced by whom? It is produced by a labor in the factory. Yes or no, in the industry. The demand for a cloth is a direct demand, but the amount of labor that is demanded by the producer to produce this cloth is what? It's a derived demand. Okay, so you understand this point? Demand for a factor of production is derived. Okay, well, next factor or next characteristics of the factor of production is that all factors of productions are not equally mobile. That means we have 4 factors of production. No, they are not equally mobile. Now, what does this mean? It means that for example, labor and entrepreneur. Entrepreneur, who is an entrepreneur? Okay, usually it is the entrepreneurs are the business people. Okay, businessman, or here it is the organ. You can also say organizer. Okay, so a labor and entrepreneur are mobile factor of production, whereas land is immobile. In the sense that labor and labor can move from one place to another place depending upon the better opportunities that they go. So it is that they get. So it is labor has a sort of mobility. They can move from one place to another place according to their choices or the better opportunities that they get. Likewise, entrepreneur also, they're also mobile. But what about land? Land is not mobile like that. Land is immobile. It cannot be moved from one place to another place. So this is what this point is trying to convey. Okay, well, so these are the few factors of production, the general factors of production which we usually see. But there are some modern economists. They have a different viewpoint with regards to the characteristics of factors of production. Okay, their viewpoint is quite different. Now we are going to see what are the various views that the modern economist has to say with regards to the factors of production. Okay, now see, according to modern economists, or what they say is that according to them, they say that there are mainly 2 factors of production only. According to them, there are only 2 factors of production, that is what? Labor and land and labor. According to whom? According to the modern economists, there are only 2 factors of production. And what are those? They are land and labor. Okay, so according to them, what they think is that capital is created by human labor. Okay, it's created by human labor on land. According to them, according to the general view, according to the general view, there are 4 factors of production, we say, land, labor, capital and organization, or enterprises, we say. But according to the modern economists, they say no, there are only 2 factors of production, that is land and labor. Okay, and what about capital? They say that, well, capital is a man-made. Capital is created by man. It is man-made. Okay, it is created by man with the application of human labor on land. That's what they say. And what about entrepreneur? And they say that entrepreneur is a special kind of labor, okay, or they say it's a special kind of labor who takes they're a special person or a special kind of labor. Who are those? Those are entrepreneurs or an organizer, okay. These are the people who, according to them, these are the people who takes the risk of the business. Okay, they take the risk of the business, and they are special type of labor who combines all these factors of production together for the production of what? Goods and services for the sake of our want. Okay, to satisfy our want. So according to them, there are only 2 factors of production, that is land and labor. Okay, so according to their viewpoint, capital is just man-made. Okay, that means it is the outcome of human labor on land. That's what they say. And enterprise is a special labor who combines all these 4 factors of production and someone who takes the risk of the business. That's what they say. Okay, anyway, that's the viewpoint of modern economists. Now let us quickly see the importance of the different factors of production. All this we are going to talk about briefly, the importance of all these 4 factors of production. Okay, well, see, each and every factors of production, whether it is land, labor, capital, organization, they are what? They have a special function to perform. Each one of them have their special function to perform. Okay, for example, land is a passive factor of production, you know that, but land is a passive factor of production, means it cannot do anything by itself. Okay, all right. Some labor has, say, for example, if labor has to work on it to make it productive. Okay, but that does not make land less important. In fact, it is indispensable. Okay, although land is a passive factor of production, but it is indispensable. Without land, no production can take place. Okay, and then what about labor? Of course, labor is an active factor of production, as it sets the whole production process and operation. Okay, labor is the only factor which is active. It's an active factor of production who sets the whole who sets the whole production process in operation. Okay, then what about capital then? Well, capital of course is also an active factor, but capital itself cannot produce anything. Say for example, you have a machine there, but machine itself cannot produce anything, isn't it? Okay, so that's why I was telling that labor is the only active factor. What about capital then? Capital is a passive factor of production, but without capital, to name some capital, like we have tools and machineries, but without the aid or help of tools and machinery, man can do nothing. So capital is also, though it's a passive factor of production, capital is also very important. Okay. And lastly, the entrepreneur. Of course, entrepreneur is a very important factor of production, as you know, because it is the entrepreneur who takes, who sets up the business, who takes the risk of the business, and combines all these three above mentioned factors of production together to produce whether it is goods or services for the satisfaction of human wants. So we can, so with this, we can clearly see that all these four factors, without all these four factors of production, production cannot take place. So each one of these factors have their own importance and roles to contribute in the process of production. Okay, so this is the importance of factors of production. Now we will take up the first factor of production, that is land today, and there we are also going to see the characteristics of land. All right. Well, first of all, the first characteristics of the first factor of production is land. And what is the first characteristics of land? Well, the first characteristics of land, okay, before I tell you the characteristics, first of all, briefly, though I had already in the last class explained to you about what land is, but just briefly I'm going to tell you what land is. Okay, see, the first requirement for production is land. Okay, so what is land then? As a factor of production, land not only includes the surface of the land or surface of the earth or surface of the soil. In economics, land means what? It's everything that is provided free of cost, that is provided by the nature as a gift. You understood? That's a free gift of nature. Any free gift of nature that you can see, whether it is the air or the water or the mountain or the minerals that you see, the forest, the rivers, all this free gift of nature that has been provided by the nature are included as land in economics. Okay, in common language, when we say land, we mean only the crust of the earth, the surface of the earth. But in economics, it means more and beyond that. Okay, it includes everything that is provided freely by the nature for so anything that you see which is economically useful to man is what is land, according to in terms of economics. Okay, so land means that. So now let us see the characteristics of land in detail. First of all, the first characteristics of land is free gift of nature. Yes, now see, land is a free gift of nature. Okay, land has got what? Land has no cost of production. You understood? It has no cost of production. Therefore, all other factors of production have to be produced, have to be produced at a cost. Whether it is a labor or a capital, it has, without cost, labor cannot be produced. That means in order to hire the service of the labor, you have to pay, right? In order to have, in order to purchase, in order to, possess a capital, you have to pay something for that. But for, the land is a free gift of nature. Okay, no cost is, required for its production. All right, so that is the first characteristic. Second is limited in supply. Yes, now the supply of land is fixed. Okay, the supply of land is fixed. It is impossible to increase the supply of land. And now, not only increase, just like other factors of production, according to the requirement, you can increase or decrease the supply of other factors of production. But but as regard to land, the supply of land can neither be increased nor be decreased. It is fixed. Okay. or rather it is limited. The supply of land is limited. Okay, now the third characteristics of land is primary factor of production. Yes, now see, land is the land is the basic factor of production. Okay, in every kind of production we need land. Like for example, in industries, when you think about industries, in terms of industries, it helps the industries to provide with raw material and site for their factories and factories and industries, and to set up all these buildings, factory buildings, etc. Okay, when you talk in terms of agriculture, of course, crops are produced in land. Okay, so this so-called land is the what? It is the basic factor of production. Okay, now next point is passive factor of production. Yes, as I'd already told you that land is a passive factor of production. Why? Because it cannot produce anything by itself. Okay, it cannot produce anything by itself. It requires the services of the labor and the capital to get productive. Okay, suppose if you want to grow a wheat, if you want to grow a wheat in a plot of land, it cannot grow itself. The land cannot produce wheat by itself. It requires the assistance of the labor to tilt the land. Okay, or to tilt or to water or to irrigate the land, you require the services of the land, or you require the services of the capital. Like for example, the plowing machine, etc., or the irrigating facilities. The pipelines or the pump or the what is so called the hand pumps, etc., etc. All this comes in capital. So you require the assistance of either the labor or capital for the land to be productive. So it's a passive factor of production. It cannot produce anything by itself. Okay, well, then we have another characteristic, that is permanent. Now what does this mean is that, see, land is permanent means it is land is indestructible. Okay, it is indestructible and it is not perishable, unlike other factors of production. See, for example, labor. A labor may die one day, and along with him, his service will also die. Okay, and similarly, if you think about capital, like you think about any machinery, what happened? One day it might get depreciate, or it might go out of service. One fine day it might be like that, but but in case of land, it cannot be like that. Okay, land is what it is. It is indestructible. It is permanent. It is not perishable like other factors of production. Okay, well, we have another characteristics, and that is what? Immovable. Okay, now what does this mean is that land is immovable. That means it cannot be transported from one place to another place, unlike other factors of production. Whereas if you see other factors of production like labor and capital, what happens is these factors can be shifted from one place to another place. For example, if a labor gets a better opportunity in other places, they can always move out. Like if they get a higher wages, usually what happens is that higher wages in town area and in metro areas, the higher wages can attract the people or attract the workers or laborers from the villages to move from one place to another place. So, if they are getting a handsome wages, handsome salaries, they can always migrate from villages to town areas. So, the labor is movable. Likewise, capital is also. Alright, so well, the next factor of production is varies in fertility. Yes, every piece or every plot of land is not equal. Some part of land may be very fertile, some may be very barren and not suitable for cultivation, etc. So each and every piece of land differs and varies, okay, in fertility, in terms of fertility. Some may be very fertile, some may not. Some may be very barren, some may not. So it's like that. Alright, so it cannot be same or equal. Well, the other factor of another is differs in location. Yes. Now what does this mean is that, see, land differs in matter of location. Okay, now what does this mean is that, see, land, if you see land in the metro cities, if you see in the metro cities and all, land are very scarce. Okay, so what happens is that therefore they command a very high value. Okay, why? Because there's a scarcity of land in metro cities and all. Therefore, they demand very high value. Likewise, land located in the river valley are very fertile. Okay, they're very fertile compared to the land in the mountainous region. Okay, likewise, a plot of land close to the main road or in the heart of the town or in the heart of the city are more desirable than the land which are away from the prime areas. Understood? So, well, that's it. Now, the next point is land has many uses. Yes, if you see a piece of land can be used in many ways. It has got many uses. Okay, it can be used to the same plot of land can be used for cultivation. It can be used for setting up factories and industries, or it can be used for constructing roads, railways, and so on. Alright, so this is what we studied today, that is the characteristics of factors of production, and of course we also saw the viewpoint of a modern economist in terms of the factors of production, and of course we also saw the importance of factors of production and the first factors of production, that is land and its characteristics. Okay, now in coming up class we will take up some more topic related to land, so stay tuned and stay connected.